I have spent the last 9 months testing out Xoskin. This is a company whose business model is designed to complement your current skin through running wear and awesome technology. I have put these clothes through the ringer and have come up with my opinion. But before we get into that and their awesome business model, we need to take a trip back in the time and look what led me to this company in the first place. About a year ago, I was pretty heavy into trail running and needed new trail running socks. I have plenty of socks and plenty of running clothes, as my wife can attest to. Basically, everything I had was falling apart. For the trails, as you know, things can get wet, muddy, gritty, and the socks that I had on were giving me blisters and overall just falling apart. Needless to say, I was in the market for something new, so I had heard about Xoskin through Strength Running, a podcast and YouTube channel that I typically watch, and decided to give them a go. I also purchased some other types of socks, but we won't get into that right now. Without thinking too much, I went ahead and placed my order, and of course, a couple days later, the package arrived. One of the first things I noticed was some pretty slick packaging that these socks came in. As well, there was a handwritten note on the invoice that came with the package, as well as a sample of free electrolytes. I love me some samples. So that was immediately noticeable. I went ahead and tried these socks on right there in the kitchen. And like any other brand new socks fresh out of the package, they were supportive, they felt good. Now let me remind you that these are toe socks, and I've tried out toe socks from Injinji, and of course they fell apart within just a few uses. I'll admit, whenever I first heard about the socks, I really didn't pay too much attention to the technology that was going in there, but I will say whenever I first put them on, I noticed that there were these micro perforations in between each toe. I thought it was a defect, but turns out they're intentional. And I'll get into the details of that later. So moving along with the story, I went ahead and tried them out and found that they did not, in fact, fall apart, but they rather held up just nicely, which was no big deal with a brand new pair of socks. What I did not expect was that they would continue to perform very well through rigorous use of almost daily use, as I was training for a couple of different races at the time and found that they, in fact, did not fall apart, but only performed very well and exceeded my expectations. This, of course, led me to want to check out the company, and I learned that they are a veteran-run company based here in the United States where they design, create, and manufacture all of their products right here in the USA, which is amazing. I am kind of a sucker whenever it comes to things that are made in the US. I try to support local businesses, so this all made sense. Plus, they have a bunch of really cool technology that they go into all of their products. And at the time, I decided to go ahead and check out the rest of their clothing, and I went ahead and purchased a shirt and some pants from them, as I really enjoyed their socks and I liked their business principle, and being based in the US, I went ahead and picked up some of their clothing. Fast forward to whenever I received that, I'm not a huge fan of compression shirts and compression shorts or compression pants or anything like that, but Xoskin's principle is to be complementary to your current skin, so yeah, they're going to be a little bit snug. Whenever the package arrived, the first thing I noticed is how tiny all of these articles are, and they can stretch so much to accommodate your body. Designed to be very much body hugging, which according to their website is intentional. It's not a big deal because after a few minutes of use, you just almost forget that you're wearing clothes entirely. Yeah. The following day was pretty windy and a little bit cold here in Minnesota, so I figured I'd give them a try. And sure enough, whenever I started moving, the things warmed up, I felt comfortable and really didn't even notice the fact that it was super cold out and very windy. One of the key elements of all of Xoskin's products is what they call the rapid dry copper technology. This means that within each of the strands of fabric, there is a small amount of copper that is implemented into the fabric, which according to their website means that this technology reduces body heat and decreases the skin to fabric friction, while at the same time moving moisture faster than standard fabric that is on the market today. There's a bunch of other cool stuff that copper does, but what I can tell you, I wasn't really thinking about those details. I just know that things were super comfortable. One of the other key things is how I felt so free in movement. And it turns out that there are very much intentional design details going on to anatomically complement both the clothing and yourself. Where things that sweat quite a bit, say like your armpits, you're going to have a lot more airflow because of a thinner material. In places like your chest and your back, where you want to maintain that core temperature, is a little bit thicker and allows for that heat retention, which oddly enough works well both in summer and in winter, as your skin stays cool and dry. Here on the website, it talks about the specific details that there are little ducts that allow air to circulate throughout the garment, thereby dissipating moisture and heat and keeping your skin nice and comfortable. It even talks about how the garment is designed to hold a small amount of sweat to provide an insulating barrier between you and the elements outside. Crazy. Okay, and since then, I gotta say, I have picked up more clothes by them, including a long sleeve and a long pant that perform just as well as the previous purchase. Even the first stuff that I have, through quite a bit of use, things are still holding up as if the first day that I got them. They even have a wool-based toe socks, and I've given them a try, and they hold up very nice in the super cold, frigid temperatures here in Minnesota. As well, they make underwear, which I have tried. Gotta say, those things perform just as nice as any other brand out there. What's more is they have a zero seam technology, so there's no friction, no rubbing, and they support everything very nicely. The company continues to innovate, and they have recently released a second iteration of their underwear, which I have not tried, but I'm eager to test out. In full transparency, they do have an ambassadorship program, and I must admit, I have never sought out or applied for any ambassadorship for any program or product, but decided I felt pulled in the direction of trying out an ambassadorship through Xoskin as I believed in their product after several months of testing. I was accepted into the ambassadorship program and I'm a proud member. This ambassadorship has allowed me to contact other members in various social media circles, and I gotta say, this is a strong community full of loyal members who do awesome things all the time. I'm sure there's a handful of professionals, but it looks to be most of the time the average to avid runner who just wants to get outside and move around quite a bit for exercise. So I gotta say, I'm overall very pleased with Xoskin and look forward to continuing to try out their new product and test them in the future. So I hope this video finds you well, and we'll see you in the next one. And as always, where do we go from here?